Yo, feels so good to be back. For all you beautiful people out there, we gon' do this one time, yo. It's been a minute, but we back up in the spot again, flowing through the feed, and we appreciate you logging in. We are the Rant Foundation, the pink and the black, we're bringing it back. So when you put your faith in the mask, it's all facts, you should join the conversation. From all elite to where wrestling is entertainment, it's every week, all new, no repeats, with a crew you should meet. Let me introduce you on the beat, now take a knee, he's the leader of the family, the king of talk style, but you can call him Anthony. Ain't nothing sweeter than a demon diva through your speakers, she got that ladywood, the one and only Issa, and batting third, everybody's favorite nerd with no rhythm, it's Phil, but you can call him Philium. Now sit back and enjoy the feel, cause we're the only ones left keeping wrestling real.
And welcome everybody to the show that is building the fandom of pro wrestling. We are the Rant Foundation, and we have a fun show for you tonight because tonight is our Retribution, and we're going to talk a lot about Retribution. But my name is Anthony DeStefano, also known as the King of Talk Style. With me, as always, are my tag team partners because we are in a faction because now every pro wrestling company has a handful of factions. We have the Bearded Bunny Phil.
Yo, what's up?
And everyone's favorite Demon Diva, Issa, what's going on?
Please refer to me by my Retribution name. It is Elwood Master.
Elwood Master is a perfect Retribution name. I don't know what mine would be. I need to think we need to think of our Retribution name.
I believe Taco Tuesday is still available if you want it.
Taco Tuesday. I just saw
one
on
tacos tonight, so
I just saw one on Twitter because they already made like the hey, what's your Retribution name? And mine would have been Loco Daddy, which I'm cool with. Crazy Dad. That's hey, it fits me. I'll roll with it. You know what I mean?
I like
it.
So how is everyone's wrestling week? Again, another week where we don't put anything in the chat, and it's the real reactions, the real conversations, and that's what people I think are really liking about this reincarnation of Rant with Ant, known as the Rant Foundation now, is that we don't even know what we're going to talk about when we get on the air. It's just like, let's talk, let's shoot the shit, and let's talk about what we thought of this week in pro wrestling. So what did you guys watch? What did you guys enjoy? And then we'll get into some of the topics.
For me, AEW was fantastic this past week, which was a breath of fresh air from how bad All Out was. And Raw was absolute hot garbage. And I turned it off an hour and a half in because I couldn't take it no more.
Yeah, same. I actually didn't watch any of the Wednesday night shows this week. I thought that SmackDown, for the first time, is very weak this week, and it was weird because I'm used to SmackDown delivering, but that first hour felt extremely slow this week until we got to the Roman Reigns stuff, which is always great. Alexa Bliss still has me captivated. I thought this was the worst episode of Raw in a long time. I was in the Thunderdome and I left. Like I couldn't sit there and take it anymore. That's how bad I thought Raw was this week.
I didn't watch Raw because I've been going through a major soda withdrawal, caffeine withdrawal, so I'm going to bed at like 8 o'clock every night because the migraine is so.
You didn't miss nothing. Let me fucking tell you.
But like I go back and I look at it, and like I was interested because I went to bed I laid in bed 8. You know, I checked the phone at 8:30. I saw Retribution. They unmasked, just have Bane masks on, and I thought we already did the Bane thing with Ambrose.
It's funny they unmasked except for Shane Thorne. And it was like he still had a mask on.
He has that weird mask on, though. It doesn't even.
Well, they had to recycle the one they used for Dean Ambrose. They spend money on that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I heard. So listen, like my thing is the masks are a little bit. So it just feels gimmicky, right? It's like if you would have sent the Shield out there with riot shields, like the plan was, that would have felt really gimmicky and came off corny, right?
Right.
This just comes off corny to me, and I want to like it because I do like some of the members in Retribution, right? I like Mia. Dijak's a great wrestler. Like, I want them to succeed, but it's just too gimmicky. And like having the Bane mask on, it's like we all know what that mask is. Like, this is going to be very painful for you. Like, that's all I could keep thinking was
the mask. the face paint underneath.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard Dijak cut a promo in a while. It sounded like he was deliberately trying to add some bass to his voice and be like Bane in a way. It was fucking stupid. It's one of the dumbest shit they've done in a long time. And it's my major issue with how Raw books things is because it's a 3-hour show. When they do something stupid and that stupid thing is in the main event, you see it 15 times before the show is over. So it's like there was the in-ring promo, the unmasking. Then there was the stuff with the Hurt Business. Then there was 2 separate like beatdown scenes backstage with the Hurt Business. Then there was a promo with Retribution by themselves in the back.
6 segments.
Six segments. And like if you liked it, hey, good for you. You got to see 6 segments.
No, and then you're putting
it,
and then you put the Hurt Business with it, which is the best thing that you have going on. And I don't know who's doing the logic backstage saying, well, Retribution sucks, but what if we put him with the coolest thing? It doesn't make Retribution look any cooler. You're actually bringing Hurt Business down. Like, don't do that. Do not do that.
Yeah, because the Hurt Business is why everyone tunes in. Like, I was on 3 Count Thursday, last Thursday live. Thanks to those guys for having me. And we talked about the Hurt Business. I said, when's the last time, though? Like, I'm going to pose this question to you. When is the last time you looked at your clock on Monday and went, I cannot wait for Monday Night Raw? Because it has been way too fucking long for me. I don't even care if I miss Raw at this point because I'll get what I need to get out of YouTube.
You've seen it over the last couple of weeks. It's just rematches. That's all it is.
Yeah,
over and over.
Clash of Champions. Clash of Champions is rematch city, and then the ones that are brand new matches don't make any sense.
The only thing that's going to save Clash of Champions, cheap plug here, is that we're going to be doing a watch along with our Patreons. So join the Patreon, come watch Clash of Champions with us, because that's the only reason we got anywhere near close to All Out is because we were cracking up laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
But so go patreon.com/Rant Foundation and join the foundation. But yeah, I just think when you look at what they're trying to do with Retribution, right? It's like if the Shield met DC Comics, like they tried to just everything that everyone liked and pushed it together, right? Everyone loves a story of who are these outsiders, right? It sold so much in WCW because it was like these guys are sent from WWF to ruin WCW. That's what you thought, right? Because back then kayfabe was alive, brother. But now you look at it and it's like you don't even say like these guys are sent from NXT because they're sick of being overlooked. Like Dijak alluded to it in the promo, but I'd rather you just be Dijak, Mia Yim, be yourselves and be like, yo, we got overlooked and we're the best of the best. You know what I mean?
And that's where the logic thing is stupid because like if you're a casual fan and you only watch Raw and SmackDown, let's say, right? Especially if you only watch Raw and these new people show up and you're like, oh, I like the guy in the Bane mask. What's his name? His name is, was it T-Bar or something stupid, right? So then you type that name into the network because, oh, he's an NXT guy that was underlooked. So you type it in and nothing comes up. So it's stupid. Why didn't you just stay with their names?
Mace, T-Bar.
And I understand like Dio Madden and Shane Thorne. Shane Thorne is so far removed from his TM61 days. I forgot he was still on the roster, to be honest with you. And Dio Madden is I see him more in up, down, down than I see him doing anything for WWE.
Wasn't Dio fighting in Raw Underground when
I don't know.
Retribution was still the thing? Wasn't Dio on the first episode?
Could be possible. But like that's the thing, like you change their names, so if you want to look them up, it's gonna be impossible. And listen, we're all holding our breath, crossing our fingers that they don't change Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez because like yet again, there's a background for them. So if you do like Retribution and you do like what they stand for, because maybe you hit your head too hard somehow, you can go back and watch these matches. So you can see like what they're talking about if they're got overlooked.
Storyline that could work if you present it in a non-hokey way. Everything about this feels corny, and I hate shitting on it because I'm big on factions. You know, that whole wall behind me is the Shield. I'm big on factions. I love factions. I like AEW as long as the factions make sense. This just had the writings on the wall as soon as you had to announce that a new faction was arriving, that it was thrown together. Like there was no, it was just like
thrown together. One of the most random people put together that don't even have like a history together.
Yeah, it feels like it's being set up to fail since they started. And it's like there's so many times that there's so many storylines that we don't get a closure to, and then the ones that they should drop and reset are the ones that they decide to go with. Like, I don't ever understand that. Like, there's so many questions that would always go unanswered, and then these storylines that are so lame, they're lame, those are the ones that they continue to push. I feel like Retribution was doomed from the beginning, and you still wanted to give a chance, and you still want it, but every week it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, why?
And that's the thing. Who fucking named these people? Who said slapjack, flapjack, bebop,
it was like slapjack, Mace, and T-Bar. Like,
P.
what?
Diddy. Like, what the fuck are you naming these people?
Listen, I'm going to take the names only because of the fun that I've had waking up and opening Twitter this morning and seeing all the tweets like, oh, do this, and this is your Retribution name. Somebody was comparing it to sauce names at a wings restaurant. I thought that was hilarious.
There's like one of those things.
Yeah.
My friend tweeted one, and he was like, go in your junk drawer and close your eyes and pull something out, and that will be your Retribution name. I was Lint Roller, by the way.
It's just funny because all the things that they are doing right, and now I'm with you guys. I joined you now. I think Seth Rollins needs to get away from Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio. That storyline has to go away.
Because last night they pulled a Maury on us.
I know, right? And it's Eddie's Dominic's dad. Okay, let's just get it.
Oh no! This has nothing to do with Dominic. Now we're gonna
now the daughter.
Like it never happened before.
The daughter with the Buddy Murphy love interest, and he's 32 and she's 19, and it's weird.
Imagine if you had somebody like Keith Lee on the roster that can have this great feud with Seth Rollins and have these unbelievable matches, and you don't do that, and you could do a lot of cool stuff with Dominic. Maybe
Dominic could be working Apollo, be working Mustafa.
Not even that. He just fought with Humberto for the tag team #1 contenders. Like, stay out of all of this and let him go on his own. Like, what?
He looks good.
I was happy to see him in that match because I was like, oh my god, we're finally gonna step away from. And then they come back with that shit. I was like, come on. And if you want to make Aaliyah a thing, you have to stay away from that weird, uncomfortable Buddy Murphy thing, because ultimately, listen, 19-year-old me related to that. That's the reason why I left home, because my parents kept babying me. So I was like, okay, 19-year-old me can be pissed off at being overprotected, but then you put her in this weird Buddy Murphy thing that makes people uncomfortable to watch.
But
she's rebelling against her parents because they overprotect her. That I can get behind. The whole love interest, nah, not for me.
But here's the thing. She's not a wrestler. So what are you doing? Is she going to be Buddy Murphy's manager? Because she's not a wrestler. So you're giving her TV time and there's no payoff to the storyline because she's not going to be in the ring. So, like, this is still a wrestling company. It's like the Dominic stuff ended in matches. This makes no sense.
Rey Mysterio got tired of being the only one bringing an income to the family. He was like, no, all of you are going to work. I'm going to get you all jobs.
But I'll tell you.
Ridiculous, man.
And here's the funny thing. It's like, you want to do something cool? Just have Rey and Dominic run a tag team division. Just let them have fun.
Raw needs it because they don't have any tag teams.
I would rather see the Mysterios win the tag titles at WrestleMania and have their moment, father, son. Cool. Awesome, right? We can all relate to that. Instead of recycling, it's like, all right, Seth fights Rey. Seth takes Rey's eye. Dominic steps up and fights Seth. Dominic's done fighting Seth. Well, here's Rey again. And it's like, let me guess, Dominic's next, right? Right? That's unless another Mysterio comes.
Yeah, I personally think that Seth will be taking time off to go be at that, like Daniel Bryan's doing right now, and that's why they don't want to put him in a significant, put him in short-term feud, like end this and put him in something else. You have all these feuds that have no build, make no sense. So why not put Seth in a quick? You could have put Keith Lee with Seth Rollins and not make him the third wheel between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, because I'm sorry, they're not doing anything for Keith Lee in the main roster. I will stick by that since day one. I said it. He's going to be the third wheel, and that's all he's been.
And that's all he's been. And you were right on that. I thought I had positive hope because I try to stay positive as this whole show does. When they brought him up, you're fighting Randy Orton. Cool. Get a big win over a big name and then set back and go do your own thing. But no, they just keep and you got to think, right? And I've posed this question before, is like, they hire these writers from Hollywood. Where have they written before? Unless Vince is just throwing out every good idea, right? Because if Vince is throwing out every good idea, we're stuck with this, then that's the problem. But I haven't seen a compelling storyline on Raw. So the Hurt Business is it. That's the
I
only
thought
thing I
Randy
care
looked
about.
good last night. But Randy has been building his own story from
Randy has
his
creative freedom
WrestleMania.
to do what he
Mhm.
wants. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like it's like saying Bray Wyatt always looks good no matter if he loses a feud because
Not always.
they get Bray Wyatt a microphone and
Unfortunately.
go ahead, say what you want because they
We
trust him.
just need to stick to something. Like,
Yeah.
stick to it and then have an ending so we can move on to something else. Like, I'm sure a lot of people liked elements of this Rollins and Dominic Mysterio and Buddy Murphy stuff, but it's
I
like
loved all the
it's
matches
been
so
going
far.
on since like January. Like, we need to get past
Since
it.
May.
Like,
It's been
since
going
May.
on since May.
But like, we need to get past it. Like, we're in the fall now. Like, we're gearing up for a bunch of crazy stuff that's gonna happen these next few months. So it's like, let's give us a distraction by giving us something new, something different, something exciting to watch. You keep teasing this confrontation between Aleister Black and Kevin Owens, and they're like the C storyline, and Kevin Owens is talking about fighting this guy in the underground. It's like, hold on a second. Like, and then Aleister comes out and it's like, okay, so this feud isn't over, but it is over. It's like, just stick to something and go with it and separate people out.
There's
After
no
Another thing that was upsetting about that whole thing is that I personally have always said that I'm okay with the underground. I like Navigator, and then last night, the only person you have managed to build in the underground, you have Braun Strowman come and beat him like it's nothing, which it was a good match, and they hyped it up. It was the first time that the underground felt significant. But for what? You build this guy up to job him out to Braun Strowman, who has no momentum going for him. It's like I don't know who's writing or making the decisions there, but you cannot. I like wrestling. I want to enjoy it. It needs to be an escape. It's frustrating me. Right? At least Raw. Raw is frustrating.
It's just Raw. Raw storylines have no continuity, nothing. And SmackDown,
well, look at the
on the other hand, has
Iconics.
been great.
The Iconics broke up.
Yeah,
we're
not
TV.
We're not a tag team, but we're still looked out for.
We're
each
still
other.
friends.
You're a tag team.
And to me, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I was thinking about this today. It seems like they're doing the Asuka storyline that they did when she was in NXT, which is she's going to beat everybody until the division catches up to her. The only problem is that works in NXT because you have a lot of talent that isn't used to being on the stage of WWE or in the eyes of casual fans, right? Every woman that's on Raw, besides Bianca, who comes with all this potential in the world, everybody wants to see her succeed, but everybody else on Raw has been there, done that. Like, they've been on TV multiple times and all this stuff. So you're going to just have Asuka beat a bunch of people that need the exposure and need the chance. And it's like, they're doing this, I'm ready for Asuka, I'm ready for Asuka. And it's like, no one is. They're just going to keep losing. And it doesn't make any sense. And it's like, take two of those women, put them in a feud. Like, let's say Bianca and Peyton Royce, you put them in a feud. Whoever you want to be Asuka's next big feud, they win that feud. And then now, 3 months down the line, they go into Rumble as a big feud. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, I don't understand.
And it's just no build anymore. And that's the thing. Is like they're trying to search for this next big thing on Raw. They're doing Raw Underground. They're doing Retribution. I would take Raw Underground over Retribution. And like I said, I want Retribution to succeed because I want to see the people succeed in it. But you have already set them way behind the 8 ball with the corniness of the first two times we saw them.
They're done.
The chainsaw cutting the ropes, the throwing a brick through a window that was already broken and running their way. Like, it just felt like mischief night. And it's like, okay, are these kids? Like, what is this?
You look at the names and they will never, as long as they have those names, they're never going to be anything. It's a
like,
mask.
The other thing is you don't know who they're catering. Like Phil mentioned earlier, that like in my brain, like the casual viewer tunes in and watches this. Guess what? The ratings for Raw show that there is no casual viewer tuning in. Okay, there is none. So if you're catering to, guess what? There's also no kids. You never win the age group that you're supposed to win. So you are catering to people like us, the hardcore, older generation, right? Why are you doing this? Because it's not cool to anybody. It's not cool to kids. It's not cool to adults. It's not cool to a casual. Like, I don't understand.
At the point, like, the only way I could see this turning is if they have a leader, and that leader's a big name, and that leader makes them take these stupid names because he is the leader, and it's like almost like, you fall in line to me. You're going to be called Slapjack or whatever the fuck your name is. You're going to be called Bebop.
But even then, like, they're going to...
Your mace.
They'll build the leader up super strong, but you're also burying everybody in the group because
right.
you don't...
Unless the leader is
see somebody named T-Bar winning even the U.S. championship. Like that's not going to happen. And Dijak's a great wrestler who had great matches, including matches on TakeOver with Keith Lee, who's on that roster. And you could build their feud back up again for even more people to see. So it's like you're wasting all this potential doing nothing. And it's like Mia Yim. I think Mia Yim and Mercedes actually look kind of cool with the mask on. That's because they had all the eye makeup on and it looked awesome. But like they're with everybody else and it just looks dumb.
They're going to have a major push, Retribution, right? Because this is what they do. They're going to get into Survivor Series. Team Raw is going to assemble a team. That's what this is all leading to. It's Survivor Series is right around the corner. They have 5 members. Here's 5 people defending our honor. And it's like you're trying to do like this invasion angle, but nobody believes that the people invading are worth a shit. Like when you did it in WCW.
When they invaded SmackDown, when NXT invaded SmackDown last year for Survivor Series was so much more cooler than what they're doing right now.
But it's like, I get history repeats itself in wrestling and I'm cool with that. But like, I'll keep going back to this because it was the first example. And the best example is when Hall and Nash invaded WCW. They were WWF's 2 of their shining stars, right? They were 2 of the shining stars. And then they aligned with Hogan, who's the biggest name in pro wrestling history. And you go, this is serious, right? These guys are a bunch of no-namers. And I know that we can look back at the Shield and say, oh, they were no-namers, but they presented themselves differently, right? When they spoke, it was with conviction. Roman Reigns looked like a goddamn star the second he sat there, right? You didn't even know who the fuck he was because NXT wasn't even on TV, right? Like he was on FCW. You didn't know who Roman Reigns was, right? We knew who John Moxley was, and we knew who Tyler Black was. And then there's this big beast of a dude in the middle of them. And you're like, okay, they got a hardcore crazy man. They got Seth Rollins, who's like the acrobat. And then they got the muscle, and they looked badass. And it was something fresh. Now Retribution, it's like, hey, go into Ambrose's locker that he didn't clean out and get his black Shield pants. We need like 6 pairs of them. That's what it feels like.
And with that logic, right? If you take that logic, and a way to explain it to people is if you're doing a type of NXT invasion where they are kind of getting called up and stuff like that, like we want to see guys like Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Gargano, like the faces of NXT who have been there for so long that we're almost begging for them to come up just so they can have new opponents. Those are the type of people who should be invading the main roster because they haven't gotten
Ali get a fucking shot at something.
I agree.
Why couldn't he be in Retribution? Then I'd be at least excited, right?
As the leader, as the mouthpiece. You don't have a mouthpiece. And if Mia Yim is a mouthpiece, cool.
I don't want any of my favorites in Retribution, no offense.
But like, if that's what you're doing, but it's like you have to.
That's what I'm saying. Sense. It's like every time a faction made an impact, they felt like a threat from day one. When you saw Kevin Nash fucking dart Rey Mysterio into the side of production truck, you thought, holy shit, Rey Mysterio's dead. Like when the Shield put Ryback
Rey Mysterio match,
when Ryback got put through the table at Survivor Series, you're like, holy shit, like we haven't seen him manhandled like that, right? Mm-hmm. They felt like a threat. Blowing up a rig that's sitting in a parking lot, and I've been to about 100 wrestling shows. I've never seen production rigs right in the middle of the parking lot like that, exposed to the elements to set on fire, right? That was, first off, that was corny. Then they're breaking shit at the Performance Center. They're throwing bricks through glass, and they don't even run in there. They're not even trying to get it. They break the glass, they run away, and it's like, what?
And the better question is, you made me think of it.
Chainsaw the ropes.
So Retribution is these 5 people. Who are the other people under mask? Like, are we going to get an explanation why they have like henchmen? Like, it's essentially just Tozawa and the ninjas. Like, does it not matter? Like, I don't get why if these are the 5 that we're going with, there shouldn't be anybody else for the Hurt Business to beat up just because you're trying to keep them.
It's 5 on 5 or 5 on 4 because the Hurt Business is 4, and then all of a sudden it's 5 on 20, and it's like, who are the other 15 people in the fucking ring?
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
Same with the whole Drew McIntyre coming out with his squad at the end of the show to like save the day, and you have 2 heel factions fighting. First of all, who are we supposed to root for? Her business,
Exactly,
you know, Retribution is heel. So they're like, I don't know who the good guys are, like anything. Then Drew McIntyre comes out looking all stupid with this squad, beat them up. It's like, why do you even care what they do? Let them fuck each other up. Like, you did all that just for an RKO, just to close the show with Randy Orton. You could have gotten there so many other ways. Like, let's just start by saying
it would have been cooler if you had Randy Orton dressed as one of the Retribution henchmen, and McIntyre's beating the shit out of people. Orton rips off the mask, RKO, end show.
Yeah.
Then it's like, is Randy Orton involved in Retribution? And it just puts at least a question mark on what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I hate being negative, but I absolutely hate it. I hate it.
It's going to be every year or two, there's a storyline that WWE does that somehow makes its way to WrestleMania. And when you do your WrestleMania rewatch, you're like, remember this shit? Like, remember the core? Like, remember League of Nations? Like, remember all these people, all these things? You're like, this doesn't make any sense. Retribution is going to be that. Like, remember Retribution?
No, or they're gonna fucking ruin the Royal Rumble by being like 15 of the entrants. Here comes Slapjack. Here comes barbecue sauce. Here comes filet mignon. Like, oh my god, it's gonna be so bad.
I don't want to shit on it because it's not the worst thing ever. I saw people like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. No, WWE's done a lot
they've
worse.
done a lot of bad things.
But
it's pretty bad.
It is in recent memory one of the stupidest things I've seen. And it's just because you ever hear when you go into a job interview, they always say first impressions, right? First impressions are huge. Well, the first impression on all wrestling fans was terrible. And the second impression wasn't much better. And then the third impression was even worse. And then by the time you tried to take them serious, you're like, oh, here comes these morons. And then
yeah, and another thing is I saw a couple of people on Twitter just talking about, hey, let's be positive because Mercedes Martinez is on TV. Of course, I'm a huge fan of that. Actually, Puerto Rico's having a huge week in wrestling. We'll get to that. But Mia, I have to say the two girls actually look the best. They're not ruined yet. I actually thought they came out in the beginning. You don't know their names yet. They look badass. They didn't have anything to do with
I hope it's just Mia and not like
We'll see what happens. And it's just like, oh, and are we supposed to forget that she's in a relationship with Keith Lee?
Yeah.
Is he involved? Because it's like, that's also stupid. Like, we've seen them in NXT. We know who they are. We know who she's with. He gets called up at the same time the Retribution is fucking around. So you can't help for me but to think, oh, wait, is he involved? Is he not involved? I would love for Keith Lee to be a part of it. I put this theory out there in this show before. Like, I think it would be amazing, especially with the way that he's been done right now in the main roster, but
they need someone like that because I can't buy, and I'm an indie wrestling fan and I watch Dijak and I've seen Mia Yim and I like them. Mercedes. I like most of the people in Retribution. I just don't like how it's presented to me as a viewer. And I get that it's an entertainment television show, but at the end of the day, it needs to make sense. And nothing.
That's another thing. When they first started, I will say the one thing that I thought was cool, and they haven't killed it yet, was like finally a faction with females in it. You always see, oh, here's the dudes. Like, there's not really a legit good female faction that's like the Shield badass, you know, like you had the Four Horsewomen, but they never been a faction, right? So I was excited to see girls being in this faction, and I'm glad that there's still hope for the girls, in my opinion, but I just don't know. The Raw women's division does need some help, so you know, hopefully they don't at least ruin Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez.
I hope so.
I hope so. But that's the Raw rant. I think SmackDown, you said had an off show. I believe it. I'm super excited about Reigns, right? Reigns versus Uso, Bloodline, right? And I can't. Now I said it and I put it into the universe, and now I'm seeing people think it now too. I want The Rock versus Roman Reigns to main event WrestleMania so fucking bad. I want it so bad. It's in Hollywood. Who's the biggest star in Hollywood? Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Who's the biggest star of the WWE? That is the big dog of the World Wrestling Federation.
Speaking of the big dog.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of which, Roman heard his name. But Roman Reigns did a Zoom last night for charity and for Connor's Cure, and he did answer some questions. And one of them, and Issa, I'm just going to bring this up. He's going to wrestle without a shirt on. Okay, cool. We're all going to swoon over him.
Wait,
That's
so
a
is he
fact.
going back to his FCW gear, which is just trunks?
He
or
said
the
he's
pants?
keeping the Shield pants,
Okay,
but losing the shirt. But he
Okay.
also said, and this is the big thing, right? And I think eventually the pants will turn into more tights. And the big thing is he's losing the Shield music soon. He didn't say when. He said he'll be changing his music.
Do not agree.
But he's not going to put it out right now. He
I
wants
agree
to
with
keep
that.
running.
Do not agree. Only unless they get copyrights of a badass song like they done for Triple. I'm sorry, the music in WWE has sucked.
Yeah, but they said
Everybody,
Roman handpicked this song.
That's what I'm saying. If they got copyright to a good song, that's good. If
that's
you have your own little music company making it, don't.
All the top stars like have really good theme music, like because they get CM Punk got to pick Cult of Personality. They had to pay out royalties for it, but they didn't care, right? You know, they don't care at that point. Okay, here, you know, who's another one? Orton used to come out to Kill Switch Engage, and then it became CM Punk's song.
Bray
Wyatt. Pay royalties. Bray Wyatt, but it's badass songs, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I think Roman would pick a song that was like, okay, that's domination. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited that we're not getting it this Sunday because I want to see.
We shouldn't. It should be a WrestleMania thing or something.
I want to see the build.
Kind of
I want to see the build of Roman Reigns as a heel because it's been so perfect so far, and slowly he's starting to take away layers of the Shield, which is why everyone loved him in the first place. And I think that's very important to this story. And I think we're overlooking it. He's not just taking off the vest because he wants to show off his abs, and maybe it is, but I think it is him shedding the skin of what made him Roman Reigns, if you will.
I'm here for it. It's something new, it's something different. It's exciting.
Yeah, same. Like I said, I only want him to drop the music if you're going to give him a really badass song. I have an issue with every newer song sounds all the same. Like, I don't even know who was coming out yesterday, and it took me a second, and I hate not recognizing music because that's what we're trained to, like, pop for somebody's music. I feel like a lot of people's music lately sounds the same, so I'm hoping this is like an awesome.
Did they get rid of CFO, or are they just bad now?
Yeah, they got rid. They don't have a contract with them, and then CFO took their royalty, so that's why you see them changing people's music because they don't have the rights to it anymore. I am excited for Sunday, don't get me wrong, but Roman Reigns is the kind of person that you really don't need him. I mean, I do need him shirtless, but you don't need him shirtless because he's that badass looking. He's got the look all over. So you don't need it. Is it going to add on to it? Like, why not? Like, you need to maximize on it. Because I have a theory that guys hate Roman Reigns because of how he looks. There's some guys that do that. So same way.
I love Roman Reigns because how he looks, bro.
So it's like, listen, maximize on it. They know that women are flooding Twitter talking about how good he looks. Why not?
And that's the good thing is it's the high school jock. Men want to be him, and women want to be with him, right? And the men are jealous because all the smoking hot girls always want the top quarterback of the school.
Men want to be with him too, because God, he's so beautiful.
And I think that they could capitalize so much on that. But I do think this story is about him shedding the bloodline, shedding the Shield. I would love, because we haven't really got it. Maybe once, but we never got the feud built up. I would love Seth Rollins to kind of switch and be like another person that he runs through. If there's like a draft or something where it's like, I am shedding everything that made me Roman Reigns. I don't care. I have no alliances to anyone. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care if you're family, if you're an old brother. I don't care. I am getting rid of everything that made me popular, that made me Roman Reigns. And now you're going to have to deal with who I am now. And I think that'd be a cool storyline to go with. But I don't think they're going to put Rollins in it because I think Rollins is too good of a heel right now. But I do think the Usos, I do think obviously The Rock, but how do you get there, right? How do we get from now to WrestleMania for The Rock in Hollywood?
I personally want Jimmy Uso to just lay down. I don't want a match on Sunday. I would love for him to understand that for the family values and all that, it's important for Roman to remain champion and on top, and I'm going to take this pin for you. I think that will be captivating, in my opinion.
See, and I think the finger poke of doom would be a really crazy way to go, and it would have people talking, right? But at the same sense, I love the facial expressions where Roman's hugging Uso. They're hugging cousins, and they're all smiling. As soon as he turns his back, Roman gets this look on his face like right before Scar killed his brother in the Lion King is what it looks like. And you're like, he's going to fucking murder this dude. He's going to kill him.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Which is
beautiful.
exactly why it will make sense for them to work together. Because that will be completely opposite than what they're building. They're building for Jimmy to get murdered on Sunday. What did Jimmy say? He said, I don't want to get whatever, the Uso, okay?
The Uso,
it will make sense for him to say, I don't want to get murdered, so I'm just going to work with the dude because I shouldn't even have this opportunity to begin with. Think about it. It will make sense. Like, that was supposed to be the beginning.
Listen, I would love the new Dangerous Alliance to be the Usos and Roman.
No, I don't want them aligned together. I want Uso to understand that it's a tag wrestler, and I'm going to do this to just allow him to do his... They don't need to align together because at some point, Roman is going to have to run through the family to get to The Rock.
To me, he's touching the belt a little bit too much. I think that's going to show.
Because that's the only way he's ever going to hold it.
Yeah, he wants the belt. He wants it, and he's just not going to get it.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't. Did you not see him on Talking Smack? He even said he never thought he would ever fight for that title. Like, that's the thing. He's... I don't know. Maybe I look at it differently, but I feel like
good.
Uso
that's what we
knows
want
his role. Uso knows his role.
Different views on how we're looking at it.
And it's never been spoken about what Roman did to get him in that. Like, what kind of deal did... Because this is not a Paul Heyman thing. Roman is the one making the deals and making the moves. What kind of move or deal did Roman make to get Uso into that match? Because it's been very well established that it was Roman who got him there. So it's just like, listen, no matter what happens, it's going to be a good match. And you know that he's going to get murdered. I just think it would just add because Roman hasn't really been wrestling. Well, they did it this Friday, which pissed me off. I love the idea of him like doing easy work. It's just such a heel thing to do.
Has he done a Superman punch since he turned heel?
I don't think so.
I haven't seen one.
I watch all of his movements very closely.
That's another, but again, that's another layer of like him shedding, and maybe he's shedding.
He hasn't but he's still doing the spear. That's it. And
that spear's his finisher, and heels and faces can use spear, but his movement's different. Like he's just more methodical. He's has that killer look to him. I have always wanted Roman to turn heel, but I was cool with Roman being a face because the way I see it is right now, in our eyes, in storyline wise, Roman's a heel. The fans are going to react to Roman as a face because that's what we do, right? And that not us, but a lot of fans. When he was the top guy and he was the face, it was cool to hate him. Now he's going to be the bad guy that it's cool to love. And that's going to happen, and everything's going to do a 180.
Yep.
It's amazing for him to get to The Rock because this is The Rock 2.0. That's what they did to Rock in order for him to become.
Do you remember Die Rocky Die chance? Do you remember how crazy they went on The Rock, and then he turned heel, started wearing his $5,000
like
t-shirt.
This story is so organically written to happen. Like it's just, I mean, yeah.
I never thought they were going to do it. I never thought they were going to do it.
I think that The Rock should be like looking at the numbers, the ratings, what Roman's doing, how everybody's talking about him. I think that's captivating enough for The Rock to say, you know what, I can fuck with this. Because we all know back at that Royal Rumble, The Rock was like, oh, what the fuck am I doing when he was holding Roman's arm up and everything.
The Rock got booed in Philadelphia, which is one of the biggest wrestling towns where we love The Rock. I was one of the only people cheering Roman, getting shit thrown at me, but it happened.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. It's just very organic. It's almost like The Rock could come in and be like, "Why are you trying to be me, bro? There's only gonna be one me." And you can talk about how similar the stories are.
It was like, yeah, it's your island, but guess who was on this island before you? You know, guess who kept breaking down doors for our family? Who's the biggest name in Hollywood? Who gets people in the door? That's me. That's The Rock, the great one, the people's champion. You can go right off of that. And it's like, okay, now you have two people just thinking they're larger in life, which they are in the wrestling business, both are. And in Hollywood, The Rock is. And I just think if you're going to do The Rock, right, you're going to do The Rock one last match. It's against Roman Reigns in Hollywood.
Yep.
I love how The Rock has so many layers because when you think about like okay, what would that mean for this generation of wrestling fans, right? You go back and think of The Rock and Hogan, that match where you have these two huge personalities and the crowd went so fucking crazy, you don't know who to cheer for. And then The Rock does it again with John Cena. We never thought we were going to see that. Imagine if The Rock
Twice
gets
in a
to do it
lifetime.
again with Roman Reigns. Like, it's amazing that The Rock is like the common factor on all this.
Yep.
This is
All
a
the
big
different
deal kind of
generations,
start.
yeah.
Right. Like, The Rock is
Like
always there.
He is the connection to all of, like, the top guys and like
Yeah.
Hogan passed the torch to The Rock. Rock passed the torch to Cena. Cena passed the torch to Roman. Roman just basically shows that he is the top dog by beating The Rock. And
I
it's
will say
full
though,
circle.
The Rock is the last seal of approval for Roman Reigns. He beat Cena, he beat The Undertaker, beat The Rock, and that's it. You are the next
Yeah, because you can't fight Steve Austin. That's impossible, right? And
Yeah.
and who is wrestling? You know, Cena and Hogan and Undertaker. And I don't want to see Hogan in the ring ever again. But Cena, Hogan, Undertaker, Rock, Austin, probably the biggest names in wrestling. You
Right,
beat
but
all the ones you could that can wrestle.
Exactly.
You've even beaten the lower, like the right here, Triple H. You beat him, right?
Brock Lesnar, you beat him.
Brock
yeah.
Lesnar, you beat him. You have beaten everybody except one person that you need to beat to cement your legacy in wrestling. And I think that WWE, will you fucking hire us three, please? Like, I just want a job that I can enjoy going to and make money. Listen, I will rewrite the script for Vince, give him the other script, and then rip that up and give the first script.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and then he's gonna hate it and throw it on your face and write something really shitty. What's the point?
Roman Reigns farts, and it's like, oh, cool, we're back to this again.
Yeah, we're back to the
Listen,
same old
speaking
shit.
of SmackDown, I have to say that I am excited for the Triple Threat Intercontinental title match. Like, we're getting AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and Sami Zayn. You know they're gonna fucking kill it out there. Like, you know it's gonna be a good match. I love the double champion storyline, and AJ Styles still think he got cheated out of the title. But I'm just saying, as a match for Clash of Champions, trying to be positive, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really good match.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see Sami Zayn be Sami Zayn again.
I love what he's doing right now. Personally,
I just want to see him wrestle, though. You know what I mean? I want to see him. Let's let them. It feels so long since we've seen him actually wrestle.
Well, I have a feeling we're getting that on Saturday.
And
He's
let him
doing it
go
with
with those
and I hope that Jeff Hardy doesn't fucking kill himself.
Hardy, AJ, and Sami Zayn. That could be match of the year if you give them time and you don't
If you
pull
let
any
them do
bullshit.
their thing.
Let them wrestle, because Sami Zayn and Nakamura, that is one of the instant classics that comes to my mind. That's how good Sami Zayn is. Sami Zayn and Cesaro. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn is one of the best workers you have. And
John Cena, do you remember when he answered the John Cena Open Challenge,
with
broke his fucking arm,
yeah,
and wrestled a hell of a fucking match? God.
And then you're going to put him in with Jeff Hardy, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but he brings it at pay-per-views.
Yeah.
He is up-tempo. He has a great moveset that fits these guys. And then AJ Styles, who I think still right now is the best worker in the world.
Yeah, I've always been more of a Matt Hardy girl, but you cannot say Jeff Hardy ladder match and not get excited for it. Like, it's just impossible. Like, it's going to be awesome. You know, the dude is going to do some crazy shit.
It's going to be, I can't wait. And that's the one that I'm excited for the chat, because I think we're all going to be going nuts over that. I do think, I think the main event is going to be very exciting. I think the Intercontinental title match has something. I don't know. Are we getting a U.S. title match? Is Lashley fighting Apollo?
I'm not
who
sure.
knows now?
I don't know about the card.
Yeah, because
I don't care.
I'm really into what Hurt
Let me look
Business
it
is
up.
doing. I'm behind Bobby Lashley, so I'm excited to see anything with the Hurt Business. I'm in. I think they're going to try to make Retribution ruin the pay-per-view, and I know that they're on Raw, but I want to see them try to ruin a Roman Reigns match and see what happens. That's what I want to
go back. I want to go back to SmackDown and just talk about Sasha Banks' promo, how amazing it was, and then this bitch Bailey just shows up and like beats her up as she has the neck brace on. Like, I'm sorry, they have to keep getting my credit every week. They are killing everything they did. It was funny. I'm watching it and I'm like, Bailey's gonna show up and fuck her up. Like, I just knew it. And Bailey looks so badass. But Sasha's promo when she said, "You are nothing without me," bro. Let's go. I'm ready for this.
They're building it, and they did it the right way, because you have established Bailey. Like, Bailey was so cornered by, oh, this is the female John Cena. Even when I tried to explain to casuals when she was coming up who she was, I was like, think of John Cena, but a female version, right? Because she's just everything perfect in the world, right? She's doing all these wishes. She's an idol to the kids. And then she turned heel. And I was like, holy shit, she's good at this. Then with the whole building with Sasha, and just the looks that she would give Sasha out of the side of her eye, the corner, the sleaziness, right? That built. And now you have her full-fledged just maniac heel that will do anything to her best friend. Doesn't matter if you're in a neck brace. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to make sure that there is no threat to my title by the time we fight. And I think it's that old school wrestling booking, and it just makes sense. And it's the slow burn of a story where in a world where we want everything now, I want this to go to the fucking Royal Rumble. I don't want them to fight until the Royal Rumble.
I need to see them in Hell in a Cell. Whether you do it at the pay-per-view or give them a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania, I have to see the two of them in Hell in a Cell. And I have to give Bayley just so much prop. I always feel like she was always the forgotten horsewoman. You know what I mean? Like Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky have so many accolades. And then there's Bayley, who we all know is really good in the ring. That's all. That's what we would say back a couple of years ago about
She was
Bayley,
probably the best worker.
Yeah, the best worker out of all of them. But she was always so forgotten about. Like she didn't even come up at the same time they came up. You know what I mean? And you put her in a feud with her best friend, but you switch the roles because I always said, because I like them together. I always said, well, if you want to see it, go back and watching NXT. But this is when Sasha was the heel. And with Sasha's promo, I'm very glad that even though they're making her a face, as she should be because of the things that she's doing outside of WWE, she looked badass. She looked intimidating. She didn't look like, oh, I feel sorry for me. No, when she cut that promo, she meant every word. Like, I believed her. Even though I know these two are best friends, I believed everything she was saying. It was beautiful. They're doing such a good job, those two.
They did a great job. And then I want to go back to last Wednesday for our last topic of the night, because I think AEW had maybe their best week of television that I've gotten to see yet, because every match was, if All Out was just that Dynamite, I would have been happy spending the $60, because the main event, Ortiz and Santana, and I'm going to call him LAX because it's just ingrained in me.
PMP.
They finally got that chance to shine, right? Because I loved them in Impact when they were fighting the Lucha Brothers, main eventing every show. They're the best, in my opinion. They're my favorite tag team in the world, right? They're probably one of the best tag teams in the world, but they are in a faction with Jericho and Sammy Guevara, who's a rising star. And for some reason, they try to make Hager a thing still. And then you're in a company that has the best 10 tag teams in the world, right? So you're kind of like fighting for position. I never thought I would enjoy a best friends match. I thought they were good. I never saw them as main event, type tag team. And they come in and they fight Santana and Ortiz, and it is awesome. It is brutal. It is a parking lot brawl like we've never seen. It was innovative. It was everything that AEW said they would be. And now they're delivering on, because it was, we're going to present new stars. We're going to show you that there's tag team wrestling. We're going to be creative. There's going to be different people in the main events. You just checked all the boxes this week.
And the cool thing is they showed what you can do with short storylines. Like, this wasn't a long drawn out storyline. It was a short storyline based around Trent's mom. That one simple thing, right? And they took that, they took that and they ran with it. And if you guys get a chance, listen to Santana and Ortiz, especially Santana on Busted Open from, I think it was last Friday. And they gave this great interview explaining, what the whole point of that feud was, to build best friends as a legitimate kind of badass tag team. Because, like, as good as they are as entertainers, nobody takes them serious as like competitors, because they're always joking around. So the whole point of that feud was to build them to that, which they did amazingly, right? Everyone loved that match who saw it. I've watched it multiple times now. I love it every time. The cool thing is, like, it was a fight. Like, they were trying to murder each other. And in that interview, one of the lines that Santana says was, with the crazy year that he's had in his personal life, that he told best friends before, like, clinch your jaw, boys. we throwing live rounds tonight. Like, this is going to be a war, and if you're going to get over as like badasses and not just a comedy act, you're going to have to earn it tonight, which the best friends did. Kudos to them. It was awesome. You saw Orange Cassidy at the end.
Well,
but there was so many spots where you were like, holy shit.
Perfect hint of, okay, this is a comedy team most of the time because they're with Orange Cassidy, but they can get serious when they want to. And in WWE, the New Day have perfected that, right?
Yep.
They're funny. When the bell rings, they're going to whoop your ass. And I think Best Friends finally broke out of we're just a comedy act. I think now everyone can take them serious. I think they had a little bit of comedy with Orange Cassidy out of the trunk, and it's like, oh, there he is. It was fun, right? And it was just that little hint of comedy to break up the brutalness that was happening.
Listen, I haven't seen it. I feel like I saw enough clips of it through Twitter and so many positive reviews that I actually still have it on the DVR to catch up with it before AEW tomorrow. But like I was saying to you guys earlier, it was such a huge night for Puerto Rico in general. You had Damian Priest main eventing on NXT. You had LAX. Apologies, I cannot call them PMP, and that's because of political reasons in Puerto Rico. And I would love to ask them if that's the reason why they're going by that. I'll explain later. I'm not gonna get political, but no PMP. Anyways, you had them main eventing. You had Mercedes Martinez in a steel cage match with Rhea Ripley. Like, listen, if you're Puerto Rican, you had to feel so proud Wednesday night. It was just a big moment because Puerto Rican wrestlers are never represented that way. I'm sorry, but the wrestling industry thinks we're all Mexicans and we all want to wear masks and we want to flip around, and that is not how it is in Puerto Rico. That's not how wrestling is down there. Like what you saw from LAX on AEW, that's how wrestling shows go down there.
And they want to be they want to be the best Puerto Rican wrestlers ever. That's their goal, right? And it's cool to see that from a tag team that doesn't have any I don't know, desire to not be a tag team, right? And I think that's what AEW does so well is you have a team like FTR who are the champions now, who you're going to slowly build this entire division around, but you're still building Jurassic Express with making Jungle Boy look like a star multiple weeks in a row.
Jungle Boy, that match was...
It was fantastic, right? And but while you're doing this, you're building Private Party. You're building.
Ella sat with me. My 5-year-old daughter sat with me because I told my wife, I said, I remember the guy from 90210. That's his son wrestling. And she's like, oh my God, he looks like him. And my daughter's like, whoa, what is that? I was like, well, that's a dinosaur. That's his dinosaur. Yeah. And she's like, well, who's that? I was like, that's Jungle Boy. And she was like, I love Jungle Boy. And then the whole time she was cheering for Jungle Boy.
That's all you need to do. And this is the thing that a fan like me is almost begging WWE to do, right? Like, all right, 1 week you can main event with Orton and McIntyre, right? They're your top guys. But let's switch it up a little bit. Let's maybe have Shayna and Nia are going against the Riot Squad. Let's tell a good enough story that maybe 1 week you can headline a Raw with that match. So then it gives people like, oh, I'm really into their feud, and maybe I don't make it to the main event on Raw because I don't like what they're doing. But, I like this feud, so I'm going to stay up for the main event. And it's what AEW has been doing so well with the tag teams is you took a match that wasn't even good enough to make it on All Out, right? In their eyes, it wasn't on All Out. It was the week after All Out. And yet it's the one match that everyone's talking about regardless of anything that happened at All Out because it was so good.
There was a period of time when I started trying to dig in and out AEW that I didn't even know who the tag champions were, and I still knew 5 or 6 tag teams from their show because they're just booking everybody so well. And I think after before All Out, I thought they were doing compelling television. I don't think that AEW is doing a lot wrong with their weekly programming. Like I sit here and I'm entertained. There was a couple of things that I was like, yeah, I can do without that. Yeah. But after All Out, you can really tell that they just hit the reset button, understood that didn't meet their standards. So let's just amp it up and go right back at it. And I'm excited for their next pay-per-view.
But that's one of the cool things that I enjoy about AEW only having one show a week. And they have Dark, but Dark is more to build people up to get them on Dynamite, right? So, and Dark, just like Tony Khan has said, Dark is for the fan that wants a little more, right? You want a little more,
we're going to give you Dark. It's not for everybody. Their YouTube views on Dark are nowhere near what they're getting on ratings every week. Yeah, exactly. So not everybody. I don't watch any of their YouTube content. Yeah,
so with Dynamite, right, you have, what they've been doing is, like you said, if they'll do something and if it doesn't work, they'll scrap it and they'll throw it to the side, right? It seems like on Dynamite that they're kind of scrapping this whole alley with QT Marshall thing because Eddie Kingston keeps telling the Blade to get his family back
Yeah,
together.
get your
And if you guys
family back
know
together. Yep.
that Ali and the Blade are married in real life, and she was the bunny in the tag team, which I missed that element to them. So it's like they are quick to change, and that's all we want for WWE. Like, hey, try something new, try something different. But when it doesn't work after like a month, you need to hit the reset button because we enjoy these performers. Don't ruin them for us. That's all we ask.
Or hit the reset button after the pay-per-view. Whether the pay-per-view was good or not, okay, we end it here. Write the end of the story for the pay-per-view so we can move on the next week and get some new feuds and get some different aspects. I feel like we've been watching the same programming on Raw since after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I kind of love what they're doing with like heels cannot like heels. Like Jericho and MJF had something 2 weeks ago where they were like complimenting each other and they walked away and they're like, what a jerk. Like,
I love that too.
And I'm like, that's like, yes, that's a match I would like to see. Just the battle of the dickheads. Let them fucking go to promo school and have a great time, right? And that's why I like AEW so much, is because they knew they swung and missed on the pay-per-view. And you can tell because by the last 2 weeks of TV, they've redirected a bunch of shit.
Yep.
And it's just been amazing. And
they have that chip on their shoulder that has something to prove. We're still good. We failed you, but we're not gonna let it happen again. Here we go.
They're still building for the big match that everyone's been waiting to see for 3 years, and that's the Bucks versus FTR. And they have that in their back pocket. But FTR can fight PMP. FTR can fight Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. FTR,
the Lucha Bros. They're building up Butcher and Blade again. They're building up Private Party still. They're building
Dark Order. Like they can fight so many people before we get that Bucks match and have good, solid matches with great storytelling. And that is using your riches properly. And that's the problem with WWE. And this isn't me shitting on them, is they have accumulated so many riches of talent, right? Because they were the only game in town that they don't have enough TV time to even get people on there. And then our problem with it is they use their TV time for people when they have people that we want to see. Like, luckily, Kevin Owens is on TV. Would I like Kevin Owens to be a main event player? Absolutely. Mustafa Ali. I would love to see him do something, right? Sami Zayn, they finally are doing something with Sami Zayn. Finally, right?
Yeah.
It's about time. Cesaro and Nakamura, they might be a tag team, but hey, they're doing something with Cesaro because after the bar, Cesaro was just like, there again. Hi, I'm here. I'm a good wrestler. Put him back in a tag team. I just want to see you change things up. I want to see you change the course.
Bring back the importance of the division. Just because you're in a tag team doesn't mean you're any lesser than somebody else. Book your tag team strong, like you book your mid-carders, like you book your main eventers. Yes, on the poster is going to be Roman Reigns and Randy Orton and all these big stars for you. We get it. You got to sell the show. But that doesn't mean that on your weekly television, you can't have your tag teams main event.
Go back early,
or your women, or your mid-carders. Like, that's what builds the next generation. Because if you have Sami Zayn and AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy in an unbelievable match that gets people talking, then hey, maybe you could push Sami Zayn up a little higher and go against someone else. And it's the same thing on Raw. If you had Keith Lee, like you said, beat Randy Orton and then take a step back and feud against someone else, you were slowly booking Keith Lee to go to the next level. And that's what made people love NXT so much, is that even when you weren't in these title matches, you still had your little feuds from week to week here and there, just reminding people how good you were, booking you slowly so that, oh shit, someone's hurt, I have to step up, or oh shit, the fans are getting behind me and now I'm in a takeover match and people are invested because you're not on TV every week and you're kept fresh and new. And you're not losing matches 50-50 to where people like, because to me the worst thing, even worse than getting buried, is being irrelevant. Like Rey Mysterio, at this point, who cares? He wins, he loses, who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter because you know it's just going to keep being 50-50. So you can't get invested. Unless you're Issa, then you just always hate him. But other than that.
It's true. Like, you have these stars that you 50-50 to death, and then no one cares about them anymore, right? And that's just the nature of the beast, but you don't have to have that. And that's why I will give AEW props before we get out of here, because I think the overall win-loss record thing, so important to show. This guy's 18-7 in his career. I'm like, okay, 18-7 is a good record. This guy is 6-15. Well, now this guy's
we
an underdog.
understand that there are the records that you're like, who cares, right? But when they use it properly, like it's
Well, if
there.
someone,
But
if
when
someone
they
that's
use it
6 and
properly,
15 beats someone that's 18 and 7, you go,
it feels
holy
big.
shit,
Like, oh
that's an
shit, it's a
upset.
big deal, right? And you have like Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon had a match that fans were invested in who watched Dark because it was who's going to get their first win. And it's like, that's where they created something that they could use to their advantage. Now, is it stupid most of the time? Yes. But when they want to pull it out of their ass, like with Moxley and MJF both being undefeated this year, it made sense. And that's where I think
They just
WWE
need
needs
to
to
be a
find
little
some
more
rhythm.
consistent with it, because if you think about it, before that they had what's his name, Darby, whatever,
Darby
on a
Allin.
match with on a match with Moxley when his record is very impressive. So I just wish we were a little more consistent, at least with the world title. Like NJF cutting promos, they were great, but it's like you don't have to cut a promo, bro. Like you deserve to be in that spot just based on your record. But that's I guess people like me, because I watch MMA and MMA have the ranking. So for me, I look at it like this needs to matter. But you're right when you think about it from that perspective. Like holy shit, that's really an upset. Look at his record.
Yep.
So I just wish they were more consistent when it came to title matches.
Absolutely. And look at that. No rundown again. And there is an hour show with nothing written down. That we're back. We're fucking back. Thank you guys for joining us for another week of the Rand Foundation, and thank you for supporting us and showing so much love, especially to our good brother Cody, as Phil set up the GoFundMe. And anyone who bought a shirt and merchandise, and we gave money to Dallas and Cody, thank you. That's what it's about. I feel good being back, and this is me just telling you guys thank you too for giving me an outlet every single week, because the weeks are getting tougher, but at least Tuesday night, I know that I'll be smiling and laughing for an hour. So that's most important. And thank you all who tune in. You can follow us at Rant Foundation. Go to patreon.com, Rant Foundation. Check out our YouTube. I'm getting a lot of feedback that people are actually watching the YouTube video instead of listening on their podcast app, because they like seeing our reactions. They like the visuals. So, and obviously they like Issa. So there's there. But me and Phil are just kind of here hanging out. If you want, you could just next week we'll just put you on screen. So.
3 times,
but
3 squares of Issa.
You can follow me at Game of Ann on Twitter. Phil
at Fanboy Philium everywhere.
And Issa
at NYC Demon Diva.
And thank you guys again for another week. We will see you Sunday for the watch along. Thank you for listening, and thank you for keeping wrestling real.
Quiet, so quiet.
Adios.